Yo, what is up guys? Rob here with another WoW video, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to play a red paladin for PvP in Shadowlands. So I wrote down a list of things that I want to cover in this video, and the first thing we're going to be talking about is your stat priority as a red paladin. So what you want is versatility, haste, mastery, and critical strike in that order. So first thing first is versatility, increases your damage and healing done, and then it also decreases damage taking by you. So all the PvP pieces will have versatility on it. And then the most important stat after versatility is haste, and haste increases your attack speed and spell casting speed. So basically, as red paladins, we're just going to swing faster when we're attacking enemy targets. And then mastery increases your holy damage. A lot of your spells are holy damage. And then critical strike, chance for extra effectiveness on attacks and heals. It just makes you crit more. So as you can see, my mastery is the highest right now, and then my versatility is second highest. That's because I have some pieces of PvE gear. Like right here, this weapon is Mythic 4, item level 194, and it has mastery on it and crit, the stats that I do not want. But unfortunately, it is better than my 184 weapon right here. And I also have some other pieces, like this cape right here has crit and mastery, not the ideal stats that I want. Also, this ring right here has 83 haste and 99 mastery. Which isn't too much of a big deal because I can just easily swap this out with the PvP ring because it has the priority stats that I need on it, haste and versatility. But the only difference is I would lose about 17 stamina. So if you don't care about the stamina and you really want to focus on the stats, then you should put this ring on because it has the required stats that you need, and you just lose 19 stamina. But I don't see it as too much of a big deal. I just leave it on. I leave this ring on. So yeah, your stat priority is versatility, haste, mastery, and crit in that order, and obviously strength on your gear. So you want, obviously your gear is going to have strength on it and stamina. So the gear that I bought from the PvP vendor was, I bought this trinket, the insignia. You could get the badge, but I'd rather have the insignia because I don't want to I want to constantly have this insignia proccing instead of me just using my badge every minute or so. So I'd rather have the constant bonus instead of just having a one-time burst. Alright guys, so I was rewatching my video that I created, the original video, and I realized I forgot to talk about enchants, so I'm just going to slip this in the middle of the video. So the enchants you want, so for your weapon you want Sinful Revelation, which basically causes your target to suffer an additional 6% damage, and that's really good. You can also go with Celestial Guidance, permanently enchants a weapon to sometimes increase your primary stat by 5% when attacking or using spells. I used to use this one, but now I use Sinful Revelation because I think it's better. And then the next enchant you want is 15 Strength on your gloves. I do not have that enchant right now because currently on Conduits they are very expensive to buy. And then your rings, you want 16 versatility on each of them. You can buy all of these enchants off the auction house if you have the money. And then for your chest piece, you want 30 to all stats. I currently do not have that on my chest piece because it's quite expensive. And then you also want 30 stamina on your cloak. You can buy all of these off the auction house, and if you have any sockets, you want to put versatility gems into them. So yeah, I'm just going to add this into the video, and thanks for watching. And then we have the PvP build that we'll be talking about. So there's a couple of PvP builds that you can have. So a lot of people choose either Execution Sentence or Zeal. I prefer Zeal because it increases your auto attack damage. It makes you 30% faster and deal an additional 124 holy damage. So that actually adds up a lot during an arena match, because your melee damage will be one of the top highest things that you're doing damage with during an arena match. If you want just a pure burst, then you can go Execution Sentence, but I prefer to have Zeal on. It's a passive talent. It's one less keybind to have, and I think it's better overall to have constant damage instead of just being bursty every minute or so. And then the next one is Blade of Wrath. Art of War resets the cooldown of Blade of Justice 100% more often and increases its damage by 25%. And then Fist of Justice here. These talents are more situational here. So usually if I'm fighting a double DPS team, I might switch to Blinding Light if I think my healer needs it to like save my healer in certain situations. But most of the time I'm playing Fist of Justice, because every time you spend Holy Power, the cooldown of your Hammer of Justice is reduced by 2 seconds. Also over here, this is situational depending on the composition you're fighting in arena. So I like to have Eye for an Eye usually on most of the time. Surround yourself with Bladed Bulwark, reducing 50 physical damage taken by 35% and dealing 422 physical damage to any melee attackers for 10 seconds. So if I'm versing double DPS and they're both doing physical damage to me, like melee classes, I will use this instead of these talents. If I'm versing casters, I'll use Unbreakable Spirit because it'll reduce my Shield of Vengeance by 30%. And this is super important because if you click this, your Shield of Vengeance goes from a 2-minute cooldown to a 1.4 minute cooldown. And it's better to have that uptime every minute and a half instead of having it every 2 minutes. And then Cavalier is depending on the situation. If I want to like be more mobile against a certain composition, I'll use Cavalier to have 2 Divine Steeds. Red Paladins are the worst class when it comes to mobility, so if you feel like you'd rather have more mobility, then you can choose Cavalier. Over here is also, depending on your preference here, Divine Purpose or Seraphim. I think most people use Seraphim. I think it's the best overall, granting 8% haste, your main ability that you want, critical strike and versatility, and 13% mastery. So those are just really important. You have that for 15 seconds, and it's going to be part of your rotation, which we'll be talking about later on. Divine Purpose is also good. Have a 15% chance to make your next Holy Power ability free and deal 20% increased damage and healing. It depends. Try them both out, see what you like better. I prefer Seraphim. And then we have Healing Hands. This is by far, in my opinion, the best stat to put into right now. Word of Glory's healing is increased by up to 100% based on the target's missing health. So if you're fighting Red Paladins and you see how much healing they're doing, it comes from Word of Glory and this talent specifically. And then we have Sanctified Wrath here that I'm using, which is a passive, or you can use Final Reckoning. I don't use Final Reckoning as often as I used to because it got nerfed, and it's also a cooldown ability. I think it works better with Execution Sentence if you're trying to go bursty. You use both of these. But I feel like in Arena right now, people just die regardless of these talents. I'm noticing people just die regardless of them. Plus, they both got nerfed, and it just takes too long. Like, you die in a global in Arena right now, and if you don't, if you're like trying to set this up, your rotation, there's too many buttons to press right now, and you have a chance of dying in a global if you don't get to bubble in time. So I prefer Sanctified Wrath. I think it's better also. Your Avenging Wrath lasts 25% longer. So right now, my Avenging Wrath is 25 seconds. Originally, it is 20 seconds without it. See, it's 20 seconds. With it on, it's 25 seconds. So you have 5 extra seconds to do more damage. And plus, when it's activated, each holy power you spend causes you to explode with holy light for about 400 damage to nearby enemies. So you're not using your holy power abilities unless you have a minimum of 3 holy powers. So that's a minimum of 1200 extra damage every time you're using Templar's Verdict or Divine Storm, depending on the situation. So that's a lot of AoE damage, and I think it adds up over time. Plus you have those extra 5 seconds, so you have 25 seconds of doing extra holy power damage, and you have an extra 5 seconds of Avenging Wrath, which is amazing in my opinion. And then for the PvP talents, we have this is all situational depending on the composition you're fighting. I use Freedom sometimes depending on the comp if I want to be more mobile. I think Blessing of Sanctuary, Lawbringer, and Aura of Reckoning are the best right now. Blessing of Sanctuary instantly removes all stun, silence, fear, and horror effects from friendly targets and reduces the duration of future effects by 60% for 5 seconds. So if you feel like you're on the defensive or you see your healer Hammer of Justice or kidneyed for some reason, you can use this on them and get them out of that. If you're trying to play defensive or if you're on the back foot or something like that. Then you have Lawbringer. This is just 100% necessary. Causes all enemies with your Lawbringer effect to suffer up to 5% of their maximum health in holy damage. So it's just like a debuff on them. And then Aura of Reckoning. When you or allies within your aura are critically struck, so that's you or your teammate, you gain Reckoning. At 50 stacks of Reckoning, your next weapon swing deals 250% increased damage and will critically strike. In addition, it activates Avenging Wrath for 6 seconds. So this always procs a bunch of times during arena matches. Usually in 2s when you're fighting, if I'm playing a healer ret composition and I'm fighting another healer composition, healer DPS composition, you're going to have these procs, and sometimes these procs win you the game. I've had a bunch of games where I didn't have my cooldowns, or my cooldowns weren't up yet, and Avenging Wrath popped, boom, I killed the guy. So it's really important to have that. And then other ones that are pretty good are Unbound Freedom, like I said, and Law and Order. This puts Hand of Hindrance every time you use Blade of Wrath, Blade of Justice, whatever it's called. And that's to slow down your enemy target if you can't get to them. So I like to use this against Druids sometimes, but it really doesn't work too well because they can just change forms and get out of Hand of Hindrance. So yeah, we went over the stat priority, the PvP builds. You can customize it to your gameplay. And then now we'll be talking about the covenant you should be. So the best covenants, in my opinion, are Kyrian. I think that's the best one, and that's what I am right now. Or Night Fae. But since I'm Kyrian, I'll be talking about the Kyrian covenant abilities. So I am Renown 12, and I have Pelagos as my activated slot right here. You want to get these conduits. They're super important. This is just you have this no matter what, and the first conduit you want to get is Ringing Clarity. Ideally you want to get the highest item level possible because Divine Toll has a 48% chance to cast 3 extra times on the main target. So Divine Toll is the covenant ability that you get, and what it does is instantly cast, since we're red paladins, Judgment on up to 5 targets within 30 yards. So that is super important. That just gives you 5 judgments, and that is a lot of burst damage. That's why people get melted by red paladins in arena right now. And then the next one you want to get here is Shielding Words. Casting Word of Glory. Word of Glory is super important for off healing. Grants you a shield that prevents damage equal to 19.5% of the healing done by Word of Glory. So yeah, you get a little shield, and it's higher as the percentage is higher as the item level is higher. Same with this Divine Toll. The higher the item level, the higher the percent chance. And then this you just get no matter what. And then When we get higher renowns, we'll probably get Divine Call. Divine Shield's remaining cooldown is reduced by 5 seconds when you take damage. This effect can only occur once every 42 seconds, so that's pretty good. And then there's another one that I don't have that does something with Templar's Verdict. But when the time comes, I'll add that to my Conduit slot, but that's not going to be anytime soon right now. So this is what we are trying to get: Ringing Clarity and Shielding Words, as high an item level as you can get. So now let's talk about the burst rotation. So here I am by the dummies here, and I'm going to show you my burst rotation that I do on players with this build right here. So when an arena match opens, I typically like to use Blade of Justice here, and then Crusader Strike, and then I'm blowing my Wings and Seraphim. I have a macro right here that has Seraphim in it. So once I have 3 Holy Power, I blow that. I have my cooldowns. Now I'm going to Blade of Wrath again, press that, and then as soon as I hit 3, I start exploding. Look at this damage that I'm doing. Make sure you use Divine Toll too. Wake of Ashes. Always put Judgment on before you Templar's Verdict because it increases the damage. And boom. I did about 152k damage in that rotation as I was explaining it. I'll do another rotation without explaining it. So ideally you want to just try to get your Holy Power to 3 as fast as possible. Blow your Wings and Seraphim at the same time. Wings first, because Seraphim is important. You want to use that after. The Seraphim lasts less than Wings does, so you want to use it after you use Wings to get the full efficiency out of it. And then you'll use Judgment, Blade of Justice again, get your Holy Power to 3, and then use Templar's Verdict every time your Holy Power is 3. And if you're playing against a melee cleave, instead of using Templar's Verdict, you want to use Divine Storm to get big AoE damage everywhere. And I don't know if you noticed, but as I had Avenging Wrath, my guy was exploding because of Sanctified Wrath here. So I was doing an extra 1200 damage, and sometimes that even crits every time I use that 3 Holy Power with Templar's Verdict. And I'm critting 13,000 plus that damage. So I'm hitting like a truck. So let's try this rotation again. You always want to have Judgment on before use Templar's Verdict because of this right here. Taking 25% increased damage from my next Holy Power ability. So boom, it'll do more damage. So always have your Judgment up on the target before you Templar's Verdict. And then once that first rotation is done, you can use Divine Toll, and that will apply the Judgment effect again. So you'll have 2 or 3 Judgment effects with Templar's Verdict on them. So I'll try to show this again without explaining it. Blowing my cooldowns. Hammer of Wrath. I have Judgment on. Templar's Verdict. Exploding AoE damage everywhere. Use Divine Toll. Hammer of Wrath again. Wake of Ashes. I did so much damage during this Wings. See the AoE damage everywhere? I did 200k damage. And as you can see, my auto swing melee right there is 20,000 damage. That's 10% of my damage from my my rotation right there. So that's why I think using Zeal is much better than these two, because over time the damage is constant and it adds up to a lot more. So once you get your rotation down, you know, you can just practice it at the dummy for a while. Get your rotation down correctly. Make sure you always Judgment or have Judgment on your target before you Templar's Verdict to get the maximum amount of damage you can on them. And now we'll be talking about my keybinds and macros here. Also, so these are my keybinds right here. We have Devotion Aura and Concentration Aura. You can switch between these pretty easily. So if I'm fighting like a team that I think will burst me down really fast, I'll use Devotion Aura to reduce damage taken by 3%. If I think my healer is going to have a hard time and get we're fighting a team that gets interrupted a lot, can interrupt my healer a lot, or silence my healer a lot, or kick my healer a lot, I'll use this, and it makes interrupt and silence effects on party and raid members within 40 yards 30% shorter. So this will help my healer out a lot. Alright, so now we'll be talking about my macros and keybinds. So obviously your keybinds are going to be your own play style, the way you feel comfortable playing. So I like to have F1 to 4. I have F1, F2, F3, and then F4 is my mount over here. Shift Z, X, S, T, Shift 1 to 4, Shift D, Shift X, G, F, H, C, Shift S, and then Shift W over here. These are like my most important keybinds over here. Shift W for War Stomp. These are my target arena macros, which I'll be going over in a second. My focus arena macros, which I'll be going over in a second. My duplicates of some abilities right here for my party members. Then I have my judgment, 1 to 6 right here. Shift R. Control E is my focus kick. Shift H is healing another person in my group macro. Wake of Ashes as the button before number 1 on the bar. And then V and B are my bubbles. And then Shift E is a focus macro to target focus people. And then I have blind as Z, R, E, Q, Shift C. So this all depends on your preferences, but what I think you should do is always have keybinds Shift 1 to 5 used, Alt 1 to 5 used, Control 1 to 5 as keybinds, and then the buttons around WASD, which will be Q, E, S, D, A, Z, X, C. All those keybinds are super important. And then you can use Shift, Control, and Alt with those keybinds to create a lot of keybinds. So as you can see here, I have so many keybinds. I could have actually more keybinds, but I don't think I need a triple cleanse macro. I can easily just target my team members and then cleanse them, which I rarely do because cleanse is not that important. It just removes disease and poison effects. But anyway, I'll show you my macros now. So I have my cooldown macro here, Avenging Wrath and Seraphim. And then my Flash of Light heal macro for a healer in my group. So if I'm doing 3s, I'll have a total of 3 Flash of Lights on my bar, 3 Blessing of Protections, 3 Blessing of Sacrifices, 3 Blessing of Freedoms, and 3 Blessings of Sanctuaries, and 3 Blessings of Word of Glories on my bar. Because I don't want to spend time clicking on my teammate and then using this Word of Glory. I'd rather just have a macro that automatically targets my teammate while I'm attacking the other team. So it saves you time instead of clicking your teammate's health bar and then trying to heal them. So for example, look right here. I would have to click on my teammate and then press heal on them. Instead, I can just have a macro that automatically does that while I'm attacking. So that's the point of these macros right here. See, I have duplicates of all of them. You could have a Hammer of Justice, 3 of them, but I don't think it's important right now. So I'm going to show you my target macros here. So since I'm a melee DPS, I have target 1, target arena 1, target arena 2, and target arena 3. This saves me a lot of time. Instead of clicking, you know, I just have these macros and I automatically switch through them super fast. And I also have arena target macros right here. This sets my party focus. So target, no wait, this is the wrong one. This is for healing. Right here. So Focus Arena 1, Focus Arena 2, Focus Arena 3. I have that as Alt 1, Alt 2, Alt 3. So I just press Alt 1, Alt 2, Alt 3, set my focus on whoever I want. And then I have my focus there. I can change it super fast. And then I have my target macros to switch targets super fast as well. And then I have this focus right here. If I want to manually make my focus, just do that. But I barely use that since I have these macros over here that I just went over. And then, let's see. Yeah, here, my Hammer of Justice. So you could have 3 Hammer of Justice macros. I'd rather just have 1. So this Hammer of Justice is used on my focus target. So for example, I am focusing the Resto Druid. I'm attacking the Rogue. And if the Resto Druid gets close to me, I press Hajj because he's my focus, and it'll Hajj the Resto Druid instead of me, instead of the Rogue that I'm attacking. And if I want to change my focus really quickly, I'll use those focus macros I just showed you to switch my focus and therefore change the person that I'm trying to Hammer of Justice. So yeah, those are my focus macros and my duplicate macros. I like to have them on this side of my bar over here to the right because it's just easier to see and they're all neatly organized. I could make it a little bit better, but it is what it is right now. I'm used to it, so it's fine. And yeah, so just focus macros are super important. I see top players in Arena don't even have these focus macros. Like I see some Arena players that are professionals that simply just click on their person, or they click on their teammates' health bars and stuff like that. I don't click on anything because 1, I'm lazy, and 2, I think it's better if you just have everything set automatically. So like my middle wheel mouse button is self-target. If I'm trying to target my team members, it's mouse button 1 and mouse button 2 is my other teammate. So I have everything done automatically, so I can just focus on whoever I'm attacking and trying to play the game and see who's using what cooldowns and trying to manage the cooldowns in my head. Like, oh, this guy used his trinket, I can Hajj him, and then you can fear him, and then I can blow my cooldowns, and we'll have 15-second window to kill this person. That's what I'm trying to focus on. I'm not trying to focus on me clicking on someone's my teammate's health bar and trying to heal him and stuff like that. All of that is done automatically through these macros that you should probably get. I'll just go through them super quickly right here. So it's just simply cast, bracket, target equal, player's name, close bracket, and then the spell. Same thing for bubble. Same thing for blessing of sacrifice, wisdom, sanctuary, and word of glory. I have 1 for the DPS on my team and 1 for the healer, so I can constantly help my teammates while trying to see what's going on in the arena. And yeah, I think we covered everything here. The only thing would be for me to like be in an arena and try to explain what I'm doing. But I can't do that because I'm like too focused on the game instead of trying to explain what I'm doing. But yeah, if you play Red Paladin, you'll understand what to do. Like if you feel someone's attacking you a lot and trying to burst you and your healer can't keep you up, instead of using your holy power to damage, use your holy power to heal yourself with word of glory. Look at that big heal, 6,000 HP right there instantly from that word of glory. So it's just like, be aware of what's going on around you, how you should use your holy power depending on what situation you're in. Always look at the teams, try to understand what cooldowns they're using, when they're going to use it. Try to kite away from your teammates, not your teammates, kite away from the enemy. Stay close to your teammates, stay in your teammates' line of sight so you don't tunnel vision and die because your teammate, you're putting your healer in a bad position by running away from the pillar. So all that stuff, all that knowledge you just get from playing a lot of Arena. And yeah, that's about it. This is my Red Paladin PvP guide. I hope you found it helpful. I try to go over all the important stuff, or all the things that I thought were important. So your stat priority, your build, your burst rotation, your macros, and the covenant you should choose, and how to play a red paladin in arena. If you found this video helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel, like the video if you thought it was helpful. If you have friends that are red paladins and want to get better at arena or PvP, share this video with them, and hopefully it'll help them. I make these videos to help you guys, and I hope this video is helpful to you. Thanks for watching, and peace out.